Okay, so this isn't about Amazon this time. It's actually about Apple. And Apple, if you remember earlier this year, they were announcing that they wanted to have a second headquarters. And I thought this was kind of unique because Amazon said they wanted a second headquarters. But Apple said that they were not going to do it the same way that Amazon did. You know, Amazon basically put out this huge announcement that they're going to have a campus that's equal the size of the Seattle campus, and that they were looking for cities to compete. You know, give us your best pitch, and then we'll decide from there. Um, and then, of course, they wanted to make sure they had the best incentives. Well, Apple didn't really want to do that. And really and truly, to be honest with you, Apple handled the situation better than Amazon because Amazon, as I mentioned, got a lot of information for free from all these different cities across the country. That obviously helps them in terms of their marketing. It helps them in terms of, products. They're rolling out their Amazon Go stores, which will, right now, they're in basically office buildings, but they're going to have more of those throughout the country, and those are set up based on uh, general choices that people are wanting, right? So all of the information that they're getting from these different cities does help in that because they're getting not only the number of single people who live in those cities, they're getting the number of people who are married, the average income of certain areas. They're getting just a tremendous amount of information that the cities basically gave them for free. They're looking at future projections in terms of where the cities are going in terms of growth, what development plans they have, what transit options they're going to choose. So Amazon got a lot of information, really for free. And on top of that, they're getting a lot of incentives. Well, Apple kind of came out early and criticized this and said that that's just not what they're going to do. They're going to actually choose the best location for their second headquarters. Now, they're in Cupertino, California. I remember when I first got my iPad, and the date and location was based on Cupertino, California. I'm like, what the heck is a Cupertino, California? And then later I realized that's where Apple is based. So that's where the bulk of their employees are, but they're also choosing Austin, Texas, which they already have a facility in Austin, as well as in many other places around the country. But they're going to basically expand their second headquarters or expand to have a second headquarters in Austin, California. Initially, they're going to employ up to about 5,000 people. It's $1 billion project with over 133 acres that they're going to build on. Now, this will make obviously Austin. Apple will be their largest employer there, and it will be the second largest amount of Apple employees outside of Cupertino, California. So this is a really big deal. The big thing is that Austin nor the state of Texas had to really offer any sort of tax incentives. It wasn't done like that. Um, Now, what they will get is about $25 million. So it depends on what you consider tax incentives, right? Because, I mean, they say one thing and then it's something kind of different in this article I'm reading. But basically, Apple is going to get about $25 million in taxpayer funded grants, which is basically the same thing, for this Austin campus. And so that's a real good thing. But they're not getting any sort of incentives from the city of Austin. So the state is giving them $25 million, but the city of Austin is not giving them anything. Now, keep in mind, Amazon was looking for a huge amount of money. Now, obviously, the Amazon projects would have been a lot bigger, 50,000 employees, but they ended up splitting it to 25,000 over two campuses. And so the development would have been much greater than what Apple is doing. However, once this is fully built out, it could house as many as 15,000 employees at this second campus in Austin. And now keep in mind, they already have about 6,000 to 7,000 employees currently in Austin. So it pushes their employee rank well over 20,000 people. right? So it's still, they're getting kind of what DC and New York got, but they didn't have to spend any money. It's kind of like Seattle. Seattle didn't have to do anything for Amazon. It just happened to be that Amazon chose Seattle to actually have its operation. So when you look at it, um, basically Seattle benefited by having Amazon and hadn't had to put any sort of incentives into it, hadn't had to provide any sort of money for them or any sort of data. They just happened to be the city that Amazon chose to develop in. And so it has been a windfall for the city. So now we're seeing that Austin is going to be the place where Apple is going to expand. Again, they already have an operation there, and just like with Amazon, Apple has facilities all over the place. They have them even in Portland. But one of the things of interest is that they will also do a overall expansion in the entire country. Now, this is due to them saying that basically they have to invest the money. You know, they Apple and a lot of big companies were able to actually have money overseas and not have taxes on that money. Now they are getting taxed on that money. So you're better off investing that money here and keeping your people here. So they're going to have new facilities in Seattle, San Diego, and Los Angeles. All three of those locations having, having over 1,000 employees each. So the Seattle facility will have over 1,000, San Diego and Los Angeles. Now there are currently no Apple facilities here in Seattle. Now, I don't know about San Diego and LA, but we don't have an Apple facility. So this would be a new entry for Seattle, and we're getting 1,000 employees. Now whether they're going to be in Seattle, Bellevue, or Tacoma, don't know. But over 1,000 employees. That's a big deal. And then New York, Pittsburgh, Boulder, Colorado, Boston, and Portland will have hundreds of new jobs as well. Okay? So those cities that I mentioned are all going to have the Apple effect. This is a really big deal. Now, someone said, with Amazon expanding, will that impact Seattle and the housing and all of this? And I go back and I say no. The region is really still on fire because there's so many other options. When people come here, it's not just due to Amazon or anything like that or Microsoft. It's due to a lot of different things. But when you add additional things to the plate, which we've added a lot of different things to the plate recently, when you add a lot of different things to the plate, it continues to make the region very, very hot. In the summertime, however, if there's not a change, or even in the spring, if there's not a change in terms of the house prices continue to keep dropping in Seattle, and the demand keep dropping in Seattle, if that doesn't correct itself, then that is a bigger problem. When you have announcements like this, where they're looking to add 1,000 employees in Seattle as well as San Diego and Los Angeles, it makes all three of those markets are hot, by the way. It really and truly does push the region even further. These are all cities, except for, I don't know if Boulder did, but all of these cities tried to get Amazon, except for, even Seattle made a bid to get the second headquarters. All of these cities made a pitch for Amazon. They didn't get it, but they're still able to get a good consolation price, and that is with Apple. Apple, I think, brings a completely different. They're kind of, in my view, Apple and Microsoft are equals. I'm not saying in terms of their product. I'm just saying in terms of just their business might. They have strong brand recognition. They've been around for a very long time. These are the types of companies that you really and truly want. It would be interesting to see if the states have to provide any sort of incentives for this. Apple's wanting to invest $30 billion in the U.S. and create over 20,000 jobs in the next 5 years. That's a big, big deal. So it depends. I mean, in California, they have 25,000 employees. And in Austin, they're going to have a little over 20,000 employees once they fully built out. That's not to say they can't expand in uh, uh, Cupertino, California. They have a huge facility. It looks like a big giant, uh, you know, alien spaceship. It's a big oval or circular office. It's massive. It's not to say they can't add more people to fill that in. They could. But, I mean, 25,000 is what they have in Cupertino. They're going to have 21,000 or so in Austin. It's insane. So this is a good win for Austin, Texas. Obviously, it's, I think, probably a better fit for Austin than, say, Amazon. Only, again, because Austin has had Apple for a while. They've been there for a bit, and they're just expanding slowly over time. They're not just going to lump a bunch of people there all together. They're actually expanding over time, and they're really and truly creating a true site there. They're not asking the city for any sort of money. The city of Austin has a chance to actually grow with the company, meaning infrastructure and different things like that. Amazon, completely different thing. Amazon wants to build mainly up, whereas Apple wants to build out. I mean, you can tell 133 acres, they're wanting to build outwardly. And of course, of that 133 acres, 50 of those is going to be like for a nature preserve. So they're really and truly wanting to make this a very nice, especially in places like Austin and other places. They're really wanting to make these places a very nice place for people to actually want to visit, want to live, and want to be a part of. So that's a good way of attracting people who, a lot of tech people really do care about nature. You'll be surprised. They really do care about companies wanting to give back, which Apple is trying to do. So these are all things that I think really and truly pull people towards Apple. Now, Amazon, not so much. They don't really put a lot of money into, nature and protection and things like that. The closest thing I've seen Amazon do is they basically have and I don't know the technical name, but they have the globe, which is these three big globular structures downtown in Seattle. And basically that's an office building that has a rainforest in it and all that stuff. That's about it. But that's mainly for the people who work in that building, right? That's mainly for them to actually have a place of solace and that type of thing. When you look at campuses where they actually invest in like Weyerhaeuser here, they had their whole entire facade of their building was just covered in greenery. So when you passed by it, even if you didn't work there, you could see a building. It was huge, but it has nothing but just, nature all around it. And so that's appealing. If you're going to be such a monstrosity of a company in a place, it's good to make sure that you kind of, give benefits to everyone, if you will. So this is a good thing. I think it's going to be great. Most of the employees are going to make $58,000 a year, still on par with what Amazon is doing. But it actually is going to be, in my opinion, a little bit better deal, or quite a bit better deal for Austin than if it was Amazon. They would have to shell out a lot of money. The state of Texas would have to shell out a lot of money. In this case, Texas is still putting out money, but it's nowhere near what they would have to do in order to get Amazon, but they're still getting the same benefits of what Amazon would have offered. So what do you think? Hopefully this is going to be a good deal and it doesn't break apart kind of like what Amazon did and do a whole lot of other things. Doesn't sound like it. It seems like Apple is wanting to take it into the right direction. We shall see. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm still trying to get over my sickness here. I'm a little out of it, so I do apologize. Hope you guys are having a great day, and until next time, I will see you. Take care.